Okay, guys, we're going to get right into this video. So this is something that's kind of unusual because we're flipping it on its head. Usually we talk about essentially how people have privileges that the disabled do not have. But these are actually 5 items where the disabled will say or do something that shows privilege and will anger other people. And the reason I'm doing this is I want to show the disabled community things that might be causing some bitterness in the general, places that they go from other individuals that they're interacting with. Now, with that said, if you do these things, it's not a big deal. It's not a really big deal, but just consider, I'm just asking you to think about essentially how these things will affect the people around you. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 privileged things that disabled people do that might make other people in their lives a little bit bitter. Okay. Now, remember, when we go through these, if you do one of these, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. Just think with me a little bit. Here we go. So, some individuals who have been found disabled back in the day, they tell other people seeking benefits how easy it was for them. And they can't imagine why it's so difficult for people trying to get benefits nowadays to get them. I see Susan Sells. Howdy, howdy. Sally Snow. Howdy, howdy. Raymond Rana. Howdy, howdy. Old school truck driver. There you are. Very cool. Howdy, howdy. So the idea here is this. You'll have somebody, back in the day, that essentially is like, oh, I got disability benefits 20 years ago. Like that. Snap. Done. Easy peasy. Right? And then you have the other person who's essentially like, I can't get through. I've been applying over and over. I keep getting denied, yada, yada. So around 10 years ago, the golden era of disability benefits, it ended. And people now seeking benefits, they live in a far more difficult world when it comes to approvals for disability benefits. Very cool. Thank you. Abolia Faletti, very cool. Thank you for the $1.99 donation. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so Anthony Papaleo, call me on Thursday or Tuesday. Tuesday I'll be live on Facebook. Thursday I'll be live on YouTube, and I can answer that question for you there. Now, here's the deal. It's at 8 p.m.-ish, around Eastern Standard Time. Around 6 years ago, the program went through major changes to make it significantly harder to be found disabled. That was through Commissioner Saul, who got fired by President Biden, who put in Commissioner Kijikazi. But the bottom line is around 6 years ago, the program changed immensely, especially with the evidence rules. Wow, old school truck driver, that's amazing. I really, really appreciate that. That's incredible. Thank you. Old school truck driver donated $20. That's super incredible. I really appreciate that. That's awesome. And thank you guys for showing me the love on this video. The last video, somebody was just attacking me in the chat section about my my heritage, which we consider genetic heritage. Other people consider it religious heritage. But the bottom line is, it just threw me off a little bit. But here we go. So around 3 years ago, the SSA started to spiral when it comes to, quitting employees, million-person backlog, and internal malfunctions, right? That's why we have the SSA in this crisis situation right now. Now, around 2 years ago, most of the high percent passage rate judges retired due to COVID, which is why there are so few 60% plus judges, high passage rate judges still available on the docket. Now, what I'm saying is, when you tell your story, tell your story, but also add the disclaimer that you understand that it is a different program now and that you got on it before some of the major changes occurred. Many people found, many people who were found disabled back in the day, it was significantly easier back then to be found disabled. Now, many people found disabled back in the day are also getting kicked off of disability benefits now due to medical improvement, or an SSA bot noticed something in the recent medical documentation. So every year you're on it is sort of a win as we go through this audit phase with the SSA. So, the thing you have to keep in mind is that, just think of how you will feel. Like, imagine if your person was found disabled way back in the day. Think of how you will feel, how it would affect you when the SSA potentially could kick you off of benefits, and then you appeal it, and they deny you, and you have no income coming in at some point, and someone who receives benefits 15 years ago tells you that they are the master of disability, and oh, they're so brilliant, and oh my goodness, they got on so easily, and oh, everything they know is perfect. The problem is, when you get one of those people, it just demoralizes new people trying to get onto disability benefits. That's the same feeling if somebody was on it and lost them and couldn't get back on them and kept getting denied. That's the same feeling the people seeking benefits have now when you tell them how easy it was for you to get onto that program. And we're going through an audit phase. Like, in the future, every year they get disability benefits is going to be like a blessing. So my point to you is just be aware of that privilege you have to say, like, I got on in a good time, but then also don't lay it on the shoulders of those other people who are trying to get on and be, because you make them feel terrible. And they're like, oh, and I literally, I got calls all the time. People are like, I filed, I don't know what to do. I need an attorney. My friends tell me I should be found like disabled like that. I don't get it. I'm demoralized. I have depression. Just remember, if you're their friend, be supportive. You don't have to hurt them with how the program was, because they don't know. They don't understand the program was one thing and now it's something totally different nowadays. Now, number 2, and please remember to like these videos if they help you consider things, keep an open mind, stuff like that. Hit that like button. Don't be stingy. Use the like button finger. Here we go. Be aware of what days, this is number 2. Be aware of what days are weekend days and which days are work days. Okay, so here's the thing. When you say to someone, oh, I forgot that it's a weekend day, and that person just gave like what they had in their life to make it to Saturday, it's just not a good look for disabled individuals to completely disconnect from like what days are work days versus what days are weekend days. I mean, sure, if somebody's working on the weekend, that's a different gig. That's not the normal, Monday through Friday, then there's no expectation. But when it comes to essentially, you just walk up to somebody and you're just like, oh, I just woke up. God, this Tuesday is really hit me. And they're like, it's Saturday. It's just not a good look for the disabled. And that creates that little bit of bitterness that you don't want to have in the marketplace of people that you interact with. And I say this because I worry about how people view the disabled individuals that are out there, because sometimes people get pretty hateful, and we don't want that. We want to be aware of basically our surroundings. Number 3, be aware of day workers versus night workers and what time their shifts normally are. Okay, so let me give you just a quick walkthrough as to how it works. Night workers, they work from 11 p.m. to 7 p.m. or potentially 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. Telling someone who just got off of a 7 a.m. shift that you just slept for 20 hours and that they couldn't imagine how good they have it as somebody who could work when you can't, that's not a good look. That's not a good look, because it makes that person bitter because they just work the entire night. They go home, they're sleeping through the daytime. It's just not, remember, a lot of them don't get good sleep. They have that rhythm problem. They have an issue where they just, there's lots of noise. They're usually not living in a good area when it comes to noise pollution. There's a train going by, a plane going over, there's people out in the street starting their cars, all that stuff. You got to keep in mind, and it's so important that that's something just to watch out for, just something to consider there. Number 4, be aware that if someone works full time at minimum wage, they get around $1,533. That's like Florida, $12 an hour, that kind of gig. That's gross pay of $1,920 for that month. $240 in taxes, $147 in FICA taxes are taken out. Then you're at the $1,533 for the month. So when you get a check for $1,600 and they worked 40 hours a week at Tony's Crab Shack and Pizzeria, be nice to them. Just be nice to them. I know some of you guys, you'll snap at, and I'm not saying it's you. I just know some people that are disabled will snap at low hourly worker employees, and they'll get on them and they'll be mean to them, and they'll, well, you did your job. They'll Karen them a bit. And you got to understand that, like, some of these disabled individuals, I get it. They have explosive tempers. They have aggressiveness built into their mental impairments. They're feeling all this pain, so they snap. I get it. But if this video makes one person just chill a little bit with those people, you got to understand they just spent their whole month working 40 hours a week, and they got less money than the disabled person who got a $1,600 check. Just think about that. Now, of course, the disabled person is going to say, well, I got to pay for Medicare. I get it. but you know what I mean. You get it. All right. Now here's the deal. So when it comes to, and here's the thing too that I think is important. And we're going to go into number 5 now. And I think this is the most important. Well, maybe number 1 is the most, but number 5 is a good one too. This one I've seen personally in a Publix. The disabled don't usually have enough money to travel to some places for their holidays, right? So naturally, they are cranky because they want to go visit family. They want to get out. They can't travel well because, they can't sit in the car for that long. They can't get on a plane because of some, musculoskeletal issue, mental issue, whatever. I get it. I understand that not being able to travel on the holidays makes people cranky. I get it. But please also remember, there are a lot of hourly employees who don't have the choice of spending their holidays with their families and including their young children at home. The summary that I would like for you to gather from this is that both sides, the low wage earners and the disabled, they have something in common. I'm a low wage earner when it comes to disability attorneys or just attorneys in general, because as disability attorneys go, we make a lot less than other attorneys. Don't think it's you at odds with other poor people. It's not. That's not how it works. You aren't people at odds, but rather you are those that are together in an oppressed state as a result of the circumstances. And for this reason, I would like for you to pass your kindness on to these workers. Some of them are disabled themselves and are trying to get a bit more money. Remember, at the end of the day, the system is broken for more than just the low-wage workers, more than just the low-benefit disabled. It's a systemic problem stemming from a lack of concern from politicians who control the purse strings at the SSA. I think we can all agree America is losing steam on being like the ultimate, unequivocal best country on earth. Remember the greatest tool of those who lead and seek to conquer. Divide people on their differences, and then let them burn at each other. The reality is that there's only one hill that Americans seem to have a long way to climb, and it's called Capitol Hill. But for now, the Hunger Games will continue into the winter. So if this video opened your eyes to perhaps, if somebody does something at a local, shop and you're like, I'm going to be mad at that person, they screwed it up. Or, you go to a place and, they screw up your burger or whatever. Don't lose it on them if you can. I understand the impairments. I get it. I represent people all the time with them. But just consider where they're coming from with that said. Okay? Anyways, guys, I will catch you a little bit later. We have one more video, which is really, 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 really good. We'll get right into it. The next video is talking about a really interesting topic, which is this gentleman. You know him. He's running to basically become president, Vivek Ramaswamy. He made a big statement, which equates to basically firing half of the Social Security Administration staff, which was a little bit scary. So we're going to be going into what he said. We're going to be going into the definition of bureaucrat and what his intentions were and how was not the smoothest move for his particular campaign. I will see you guys in about 5 minutes, and then we'll go through essentially that and go from there. Catch you guys soon. And I love it. Thank you. I see all the little things here. Very cool. All right. See you soon. Bye-bye.